Hello and welcome to session 4 in my All About Bees Swarming and Swarm Control video collection. Today I'm going to tell you all about bait hives, which will help you catch all your neighbouring beekeepers' swarms. If you are enjoying these videos, it would help me if you click the like and subscribe buttons below, especially if you don't want to miss out on any new video releases. So I will be covering what you need to consider with bait hives, how to encourage swarms to settle on swarm posts, the repeat cluster locations, and we'll be looking at the pros and cons of using swarm lures and other scents and materials to attract swarms. Successful use of bait hives, especially timely harvesting, requires knowing when swarming is most likely to occur in your area. In northern Scotland, where I kept my bees, swarming usually occurs between late May and July, but this will be much earlier in parts of England. Be aware of any local microclimates that may encourage earlier swarming and have the bait hives in position well before the swarming season starts. I'd say a minimum of 1 month before. In building your bait hive, it is important to bear in mind the successful criteria for house hunting bees. As a reminder, the entrance should be 10 to 15 centimeters square near the floor of the hive. A circular opening 3.2 centimeters in diameter is best. A cavity volume of 1.4 cubic feet, which is about 40 liters, is also ideal, and the cavity shape itself, though, is not important. Most types of wood will do for the bait hive, although some authors state that bees may avoid new wood. The bait hive becomes far more attractive to the bees if there is an odour of beeswax. In considering whether to place frames of drone comb into a bait hive, you need to consider that the hive may become infested with wax moth, especially in warmer parts of the UK, although that doesn't seem to deter a swarm from entering a hive. I've rescued swarms from the most decrepit, wax moth infested abandoned hives you could imagine. Strips of foundation in frames are an alternative. Some people also recommend you place swarm lures in the bait hive, or the scent of lemongrass is also said to be effective. We'll look at them later. You can use a nuke box or a full-size brood box as a bait hive, but if you're going to make your own, bear this criteria in mind. As we said before, the shape is not important, but a volume of 40 litres is the ideal size. Ease of nest inspection is also important. Don't forget you need to be able to get in there to have a look what's inside. It's a good idea also to have a projecting piece of wood for hammering the box to the tree. To keep birds from making a nest in the box, which they will, hammer a small nail into the entrance, thus halving it in size. Success in using bait hives depends on proper site selection. The ideal location for a bait hive is about 15 feet, that's 5 meters above the ground. It must be highly visible for discovery by scout bees and fully shaded. There are no guarantees of success, however, and bees may reject a site which meets all those ideal criteria. The bees may even move in, only to abandon it an hour or a day later. Overheating of a hive seems to be a contributing factor. Once bees have built combs and there is brood presence, however, they rarely abandon a new home. Please be careful when climbing ladders, etc. And if you have any doubt about your safety or wonder how you're going to get the bait box down once it's full, you can always place it at maybe just 4 feet up the tree. In my opinion and experience, the 15-foot height isn't that critical, or at least it wasn't in Scotland where I kept my bees. Swarm traps, like the ones in the photos, are available from suppliers, but they require some sort of weatherproofing as they are not waterproof. I haven't personally used one of these myself, but I have seen them on sale in the UK beekeeping conventions. I'd be interested to hear if you've used them successfully. Various types of swarm lures are available. To activate swarm wipes, the sachet can be pierced or torn open and hung in an empty hive, skep or other suitable container, or it can be wiped over the interior surface of the container. The lures on the right are in vials and they are placed inside the bait box, usually hanging on a small nail. The middle one is like a cream that you can wipe on the interior of the box. Rigorous university research has shown that the lures attract 60 to 90% of swarms. The blend of different essential oils contains geraniol, citrol, nerol and farnesol, substances similar to honeybee national pheromone, proven to attract the attention of honeybee scouts scouting for a nest. Now let me tell you a story about about swarm lures. I had two hives at home, and I had in one a swarm lure. It was actually the vial shown on the right of the photograph, and the other one I didn't have anything. I had to rush home and collect the swarm, and I left it hanging in the skep. When I finished work, I came back in the evening and it had abandoned the skep. When I went to my two bait hives, it was good news because the swarm had moved into one of them. Guess which one? No, it wasn't the one with the swarm lure in. They'd moved into the other one. So make your own mind up if they work and try them for yourself. The first photo on the top left shows, according to Vita Europe, the manufacturers, that their swarm lures work, evidenced by the newly arrived swarm in situ. The second photo, bottom right, shows that the worker bees are attracted to the swarm wipes. And I've no doubt they are, but I tried swarm lures, as I've previously told you, and I didn't notice any difference between bait boxes with the lure in and those without. The best success I've had in attracting swarms has always been in bait hives containing old drawn comb. Lemongrass and beeswax are natural attractants for swarms. A few drops of lemongrass oil can be inserted into a bait hive on a cloth or in a plastic bag with holes in it. Remember to top it up every couple of weeks. Liquid beeswax can be smeared on the interior surfaces of the box and is again very attractive to the bees. Swarms will regularly settle on the same tree or other location in an apiary, and this is thought to be due to the pheromones remaining there from previous swarms. You can take advantage of this behaviour by making your own swarm post. Wipe the post regularly with a swarm lure wipe or beeswax, and some suggest squishing unwanted queens on the post will attract even more swarms. Bees in a swarm are primed to build comb rapidly, so bait hives should be inspected and harvested frequently before they get too big for you to handle. Within a week or two of occupying a new nest, a great quantity of fragile new comb can be built. This may make moving at full bait hives difficult, as overheating may cause the comb to melt, or undue jarring may break the comb, and both of these will kill bees. I once put a large swarm into a double brood box Smith hive with 20 deep brood frames of foundation. In the evening, I was staggered to find every single frame fully drawn out when I went back the next day to check on them. It was amazing. Check your bait boxes frequently for occupancy, at least once a week, twice a week if you can, and do not leave them in position over winter if they are high in the tree especially, as they will be very difficult to get down if they are still alive the next spring. Simply observing bees at the entrance of a bait hive does not mean that a swarm has moved in, as they could just be scout bees checking out the hive, or they could be robber bees looking for any remnants of stores to steal. However, if you see pollen going into the hives, it's a sure sign you have caught a swarm. You can also verify this by the pattern of the bee's flight, as foraging bees will enter the hive directly with no deviation, while robber bees will fly in a zigzag pattern. Once the bees have moved in, you need to remove the box quickly before it becomes too heavy. Your personal safety is of paramount importance when removing a bait hive, especially if it is heavy and high up. It could weigh upwards of 30 kilograms. It may be a good idea to get assistance from a beekeeping friend. Plan how you are going to remove the bait hive before starting the operation. Do it when the bees have stopped flying, late evening or early morning. Work quietly. Have all your equipment available, including a well-lit smoker, and make sure you are suited up. Keep quiet and smoke the entrance of the box lightly. Block the entrance with a piece of foam or use a ventilation screen like the ones you see on nuke boxes. Strap the hive up so it's secure. Remove any nails and lower the box with a rope if it is too heavy. You may also want to consider taking the new colony to a temporary apiary more than 3 miles away until you can see the health status of the colony, which you can usually check after 2 brood cycles. If you need to transfer bees from a bait hive to another hive, do that also in the evening time or early morning, or if it's raining, as you don't want many bees flying around during the operation, If there is not much new comb in the bait hive, i.e. the swarm has only recently moved in, the bees can simply be dumped into or in front of an empty hive, which you should fill with frames of foundation, with the queen excluded on the floor only after the swarm has fully entered the hive, or you may trap the queen below it. Leave this in place for a few days to prevent the swarm absconding. A frame of brood from another colony will encourage the swarm to stay, as they will tend to the larvae. If the new comb has been built on frames, you can simply move them from the bait hive into the new hive. If the comb is not built on frames, an option is to place a brood chamber with frames of foundation over the original box. When you see eggs in the new brood chamber, add a queen excluder between the two boxes. Check the top box again 3 days later, and if you see fresh eggs, you know the queen is likely to be in the top box. 24 days later, all the brood in the bottom box will have emerged, so you can remove it and reassemble the new hive. A fun and quirky method of speeding up the transfer is to use drumming, a century-old practice used to remove bees from straw skeps and boxes. My friend Alistair Welsh used to do this a lot in his early days. Place a new super of combs above the bait hive with a lid, as bees will move into an open box. Then, using hands or a lightweight rubber hammer, beat rhythmically on the side of the bait hive. If a moderately slow, steady beat is maintained, the bees should abandon the hive, even leaving their brood behind, and march upward in an orderly manner. Drum bees do not become angry, but at the outset of drumming, always smoke a colony carefully. Good luck with that one. Contact Alistair for more details. Also, naturally built comb can be cut out of the bait box and tied into brood frames with string, as shown in the photograph. I placed this bait hive with frames of drawn comb on my shed roof in Scotland in the swarming season a few years ago, and a swarm moved in a few weeks later. Obviously it wasn't one of mine. It remained there, however, until November, as I was very busy and it was too heavy for me to remove without assistance. As you can see, the bees also collected 2 supers of honey, which proves that bait hives can be productive, not only in bees. That's the end of session 4. I hope I've given you some ideas on how to collect some free swarms. Remember though, that swarms from an unknown source should be treated with caution, as you don't know their health status or their temperament. I would always advise you to take them to a temporary apiary if you can, and to treat them for varroa before there is any brood present. Please join me for session 5, where I'll be showing you my swarm collection kit, forever present in the car during swarming season, and I will give you some tips on how to safely retrieve swarms. If you're enjoying these videos, please subscribe below and consider subscribing to my buymeacoffee.com site, where I'll be posting regular articles on beekeeping, and you can also help fund the YouTube channel by buying me a beer, more appropriate than coffee in the heat of Spain. The link is under the description below. Thank you to those who have already bought me a beer. That's all for now. Adios amigos.